Okay, so welcome to this episode of Lincolnshire New Folk Movement. Today, I'm very excited to be talking to the wonderful Nicky Haxby, who plays the most amazing folk music and does all sorts of other incredible things for our community. So just to start off with, Nicky, just tell us a little bit about yourself and how did you get into playing music and writing songs and things like that?
Hi, Jake. That's very kind of you, by the way. I feel very honoured to be here. Well, I started learning classical guitar about age 11, badly, and then I'm hugely influenced by my parents. They had the Jersey Folk Club, so that's what I was sort of steeped in, really. We used to have lots of guys, the Strawbs, you know, Sandy Denny. Sandy Denny didn't come, but they used to come and stay at our house and never thought anything of it until later, of course. And I used to, my dad was a shanty singer and they had a group, and my mum, I used to accompany her on guitar. And then I didn't pick up the guitar. My dad died when I was very young, and then I didn't pick up the guitar again for decades. And then about 4.5 years ago, I got very upset about what was happening, along with masses of other people in Syria, especially the kids and stuff. And so I decided to buy an electroacoustic guitar and a little amp, a Roland amp and a mic, and go out on the streets and start busking for Syria. And then I started realizing very, very quickly that there was a huge problem with the homeless in our area. And so I started busking for them as well. And so it's just sort of grown from there. And so that's what I do. Obviously not at the moment, it's not appropriate, and I miss it. I really, really miss it.
So whereabouts do you go busking? Where are your sort of favourite? Because I know you don't just cover Lincolnshire, do you? You go all over. So whereabouts do you go?
Yeah, well, my favourite haunts are Louth, when I can busk, and Horncastle, Lincoln, York, London, Jersey, when I can get over there. So yeah, anywhere really. I just love it. I always get really nervous beforehand. I don't know if you do. Get very nervous when I'm walking down the hill with all my gear. I'm thinking, why am I doing this? And because you never know how people are going to react. But I love it.
I think that's what puts me off busking more. I think because I do gigs in venues, absolutely fine, and you think, yeah, I'm much more apprehensive about going busking and just say, how do you find a good spot? How do you pick a spot? Because I always think that, well, if I set up here, am I suddenly going to get ushered on by the police or something?
Yeah.
So how do you go about picking a good spot for busking?
It is, well, it is always a possibility. If I'm going into a new local town, I'll usually go and sound the shops out beforehand. And I remember one guy saying, if you busk outside my shop, I'll call the police. So I thought, okay. But in York, say, the Shambles is very, very popular. And so I just picked a place outside a couple of cafes. And all the buskers are very friendly, and they'll come and ask, when you're going to move, and so that they can save a pitch and things. So met loads of buskers in York. That was really nice. And so yeah, it's just trial and error, really, as to I think I had one manager of a shop came over and gave me a really hard time. And it's funny, I remember somebody saying, you always remember that one person. It really knocks your confidence.
Yeah.
Somebody once said to me, you need balls of steel to go busking. And you forget the 99% that are okay about it. You just remember that 1%. But it's worth it. It means I can go and then spend the money and on food for East Coast homeless and stuff, so it's worth it. And I love it. I absolutely love it. I really miss doing that.
So tell us a little bit more about it's Echo, isn't it? Like the East Coast Homeless Organisation, is it?
Yes, yeah. So the amazing guy, the awesome guy who sort of spearheads it in our area is Richard Speed in Louth. He's just incredible. I've been out with him to the underpass in Grimsby, and it's grim, it's humbling. These shadows come out of the shadows. And they only get hot food twice a week, supplied by the Grimsby Mosque women, pizza places. Lots of places give food to Richard to take it. He provides fresh, hot food, home-cooked food, and then they give them a bag of cold food to take back with them so that they've got something to eat, and hand out sleeping bags and coats and shoes, if we've got them, and things. And so it's Richard that spearheads it, and then he's got lots of volunteers that go and help him. It's quite problematic at the moment, obviously, because there are many more homeless, and with COVID restrictions, it's quite difficult too. But they're out there twice a week. They're in Lincoln. They were helping the circuses that had no food. Most of them are from abroad and they couldn't get back. They had no money to get back. Their flights were cancelled, so they had nothing. So yeah, it's far-reaching what they do. It's incredible. If I find a new person that I haven't seen on the streets in a town, I'll ring Richard. He's straight out there, drives around the town, and then he texts me and say, "Yep, I know them. They're from so and so." He will. In Grimsby, in the underpass, the police come. They know Richard really well. They know when he's going to be there. They'll come and ask him if they've seen somebody that's gone missing for a while. He knows everybody. It's just incredible.
It is. I think it's one of those things in rural areas. We think we don't have these issues, if you see what I mean, and it's somehow just harder. Sometimes just harder to see because we're all spread about all over the place. And I do really feel for people who are struggling at the moment, living without a home and under the whole COVID things, because it is, if they're relying on sort of help from people passing by and things like that, you think they're just so on their own out there and in this sort of cold weather we've been having as well. So thank you ever so much for doing what you do for them, Nicky. And I think there's a challenge to us all there to sort of step up and do the bits that we can, because nobody can solve this problem on their own, can they, Nicky? It does take chipping away.
Yeah, it does, Jake. But don't underestimate what you do. You're an amazing guy, and you do a great deal too. But you're right. We all just have to just do little bits. Paul Hugel again at the Priory. Awesome guy. The amount of work that he does for the community kitchen, it's humbling. What these people do, really.
It is. There's so much goodness in the world, and sometimes I think it can be easy to ignore it. I think take it for granted and just focus on the bad. So yeah, some lots of really good people out there doing good things, and Nicky is definitely one of them. So just going back to music then. So your songs, I think, very much reflect that stuff that we've just talked about, your compassion and sort of sensitivity to human nature and human experience. So I was really taken aback when you said that you've only come back to music and songwriting in the last 4.5 years, because sort of listening to how much stuff you've got on SoundCloud and things, it seems like a much more substantial period of time. So I'm feeling quite humbled by that. So tell us, how do you go about songwriting? Do you kind of look for inspiration first, or is it a melody, or how do you go about that?
Well, it's all from experience, and like a lot of people, it's mainly sad, and a lot of broken relationships in the past and stuff. But I always start with the lyrics. I know people have lots of different ways. I always start with the lyrics. I have them in my head, and I'm driving around for ages with them in my head. And sometimes I'll go down to the sea and sit there and write them down. And or I'll keep stopping and just recording a little bit. I don't know if you do this. And then I listen to the next day and I think, what?
Yeah, I've done that.
And then I'll sit down and start writing, not writing, playing a melody. And usually it happens quite quickly. I don't know if it does that with you. It seems to fit together quite quickly. I bin a lot, you know, I chuck out a lot that I don't like, or it just doesn't work. But you know when it works, don't you? Or when it works for you, really.
Yeah, I find it either takes me absolutely ages, like I was saying in one of the other interviews, literally years to get get one thing written, and then other times it's like, oh, okay, 25 minutes later it's like, okay, there you are, there's a song, I quite like that one. That's interesting about the writing the lyrics first, because again, talking to someone else, is I find that very difficult. I find it very difficult to kind of think about, but then listening to your songs, I think you can hear such a strong narrative voice through them. There is that sort of story that goes along with most of them, and that makes sense. I think that the message is very powerful in your songs. Have you ever, because have you done some collaborations with people as well? Because I was listening, some of your stuff is quite produced, like with the full the drums and everything like that.
No, not really. Sometimes if I record at the Pump House studio, usually with Tom.
Oh, right.
And in Louth, and so if I'm doing harmonies, I just harmonize over the top. But other than that, I mean, when I do, lots of, when we can, lots of open mic nights and things like that. And in those, I'll collaborate with anybody. There's a rock group, Feel the Noise. Oh, got to play an electric guitar in one gig that we did because the guitar player wasn't there. Caroline, we often think about doing something. Tess Turner, we'll do harmonies together. Anybody who's got a cajon, I've just bought one actually, a cajon. I love collaborating. It's easier. I remember you were saying this in an interview recently. It's easier, I think, on your own, because you don't have to worry about anybody else. You can just concentrate on what you're doing. Yes,
I think that's true. I think playing with other people makes me a better musician. I find that I do learn more, and what you do when you're collaborating, when you're playing with someone else, sometimes you rein back if you're just on your own, you kind of like putting little trills and things in. But if you play with lots of people and everybody's putting trills in everywhere, it just becomes chaos, doesn't it?
I know.
Yeah. So I think it would probably do me some good to do a little bit more collaborating when we could see each other again. So you were saying about open mic nights. So what sort of venues and open mics do you particularly like? What are some of your favourites?
Well, I started at Old Nick's in Horncastle. I remember when I first went, I get very nervous, and I remember my fingers felt like bananas. You're playing the guitar with banana fingers. Forget all the words. I used to do that every week, and collaborate with anybody who wanted to. We just, sort of on the night. The Gas Lamp with Adi.
Yeah.
Sanders, that's fantastic. Oh gosh, where else? I've had a mental block now. Total mental block.
I get that.
No, it's gone. It's gone. But
have you ever done Alford, the Alford acoustic?
Oh yes. Oh, Alford acoustic is absolutely fantastic. And Spilsby Theatre acoustic. Yeah, it's coming back now. Alford acoustic is superb. I always get very nervous there. I always think that the bar is quite high, and I get very nervous. I always forget my words there, but that's brilliant. And actually, Tess Turner and Nick Farrell have managed to continue that right through through the lockdown, through COVID.
Yes, it's online, isn't it? Yeah.
Which is a lot of hard work, I think, doing it.
It is. It takes a lot of commitment, doesn't it? I think to just keep, because musicians sometimes are not the easiest to corral, manage. So I think the fact that they managed to get them all on there doing something, I think is really impressive. I've never actually gone and done the For The Acoustic. I think because, as you say, I think in my head it's sort of like the bars up there, and I'm gonna do it when we can go back out.
Great.
I'm gonna go back and make sure I put myself forward to play at Alford.
They'd love you.
Well, I really enjoyed the Alford Busking Day, and it looks like we might be having another one in the summer. Yes, that's exclusive for anybody watching us. So yes, we're looking into that now, which is really exciting.
Yeah, you did really well with that.
It was great fun, wasn't it? It was lovely seeing the town, because the town centre is quite compact, isn't it, in Alford? Just that town full of music and musicians, and seeing all the different stuff cropping up places. Like, I don't think we booked them, and they were there playing anyway. And you think, well, who cares? You know, so that's the nature of busking, isn't it? So yeah, so that was really lovely doing that. So I think that is all my main questions that I had for you, Nicky. But I've got my quick fire questions for you, and I told Nicky before the interview started, I'm particularly pleased with myself for the first one. Okay. So would you rather be able to travel in time and see anything, but you can't interact with it? Or would you rather be able to talk to people in photographs?
Oh, I'd like to talk to people in photographs.
Yeah. Any
That's a very good question.
It's a good question. That I'm feeling quite smug about that. So I was thinking they both feel like they're pretty good. Yeah. What, is it that kind of that makes sense to me? I thought you'd go for the photos because that human connection, isn't it, and people that you care about.
Yeah, I'd have huge anxiety things about the other one, because you might see terrible things and you wouldn't be able to do anything about it.
Oh, that's true. I hadn't thought about that.
Hugely negative thought, that. But anyway, you know, yeah, I'd go for the photos.
Yeah. Okay. I think that's a good. I think either answer would be good, but I think that is a good answer. Right. What is your favourite chess piece?
Oh, I'm rubbish at chess. The king.
The king. You like the king best?
You can tell I don't play much chess, can't you?
That's all right. There can't be a wrong answer.
The knight.
L-shaped fella.
The knight. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't he go across?
Oh no, the diagonal one is the bishop.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah. The knight jumps over people because he's got a horse.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
The bishop.
Yes, the bishops are good. I think bishops are really good. Yeah, they always tend to come out quite early for me. I'm managing to stave off my son beating me at chess, because I'm pretty sure he could, but I just keep getting really lucky every time.
Yeah.
So really sparing with how often I'll play him, because then that'll be it. Yeah. Right. And last question, and it's just a general one. What do you think of Oasis, the band, not the soft drink?
What's that song we all play?
Wonderwall.
I remember you talking about that the other day, and I know it and I play it, but when I'm busking I think, do I want to play this? Will anybody throw anything at me? So yeah. I don't know.
I think that's an absolutely fine answer.
And it's funny when I'm going through all my songs, especially at the moment when we can't, you know, we're not doing any gigs or anything, and I get to Wonderwall and I think, oh, shall I practice it? Yeah, I better practice it, just, you know, just in case I forget it. But I very rarely play it, I have to say.
Yeah, I've taught myself a different version of it to just try and make it a little bit more interesting.
Yeah.
We always get us to play it, don't we?
Well, if it's anything like the one you do of the monkeys, that's amazing.
Yeah, I need to get that properly recorded, I think.
That's amazing.
I'm going to do an album, I think, of covers, or an EP maybe. Yeah, that's my next job. That's been lovely speaking to you, Nicky. Thank you very much for your time. And I'm going to put a song on at the end of this. And do you want to tell us what that is and a little bit about that?
Failed relationship. My first relationship, I think this was. And the guy didn't do anything wrong. You know, it's when you have different expectations, I think, and he was a nice guy, but obviously I was in love, and I think I was just maybe a notch on the wall. But I'm not saying anything against the guy. He was, and he's turned out to be a very good guy with a huge social conscience, actually. But yeah, again, I think I wrote this very, very quickly because it was all in my head. I knew exactly what I wanted to say. So that was, and it's one of it sounds awful, doesn't it? But it's one of my favourite songs that I've written, I suppose.
And what's it called?
A bit of fun, you know.
A bit of fun, you know. I was trying to remember they were saying about forgetting everything. It's like a bit of fun, you know. So thank you very much, Nicky, and you have a great night, and hopefully see you very soon.
And thanks for talking to me, Jake.
Oh, you're welcome. Take care. Bye-bye.
My first, you know, but not my last. I was in love, you know, but I was cast as a bit of fun, you know, and that's what hurt the most. I was 18, you were 21. I was green as grass, you were worldly wise. I'd see you in the student bar, my heart would race, my words dry up, 'cause I knew you could have any girl you wanted in that room. You were my first, you know, but not my last. I was in love, you know, but I was cast as a bit of fun, you know, and that's what hurt the most. And you knew that all you had to do was smile at me and I was yours. It's funny how at times like this we're blinded to reality. We just throw all caution and our reason to the wind. You were my first, you know, but not my last. I was in love, you know, but I was cast as a bit of fun, you know, and that's what hurt the most. And it would come as no surprise if you could not remember me, but I still see your smile and the color of your hair. And of course I've looked you up since then. It seems like you have been a good man. I've long since learned to put this down to young love's experience. So I wish you well and cast you from my mind into the past. You were my first, you know, but not my